Scaring me this cold. Scaring me this cold.
All right, shalom to elect Israel, to the whole elect Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negro, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, Haitians, foreign Israelites, that elect the other nations, scattered across four corners of the earth. Want to give all praise to Barak, Barak, Yahawashi. Barak, Barak, Yahawashi. Got to give all praises to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rawchaa, Qadash. Name of the Heavenly Father, who everybody intimately calls God. His true name in the ancient Hebrew, which is in the Rawchaa, Qadash. His true name is Yahawah. Bahasham means in the name of. Yahawashi is the Holy One of Israel. Everybody intimately calls Jesus Christ, the so-called Negro from the tribe of Judah, who was slain at the foundations of the earth for the salvation of the elect of Israel. Then you got 2/3 of the wicked Israelites here in America, Babylon the Great, and the other wicked Israelites scattered across the four corners of the earth that will come back to the loins of the elect after the destruction. The Rawchaa Qadash is the Holy Spirit that's been bestowed upon the men. The Heavenly Father gave his only begotten Son out of the world to complete this work. So we always want to give double honors to the elders and apostles, the great millstone, let us all to the truth. Been ordained by the Lord to teach the flock how to live, repent, pray fast, show forth the Lord's righteousness and mercy, judgment, forgiveness and wrath to all, so part of the elect to the hopeful elect. Lord, when we part of that number, Lord, when we got to find those that fear in the name of the Lord, striving to show forth the Lord's righteousness every day to the best of their abilities. His judgment always comes to light. Zephaniah 3:5, it is not slack. 2 Peter 3:9 is unto a ring. 2nd Ezra 5:42. Shalom, I used to say believers out there tuning in on out there. Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rawchaa, Qadash, Atham. And we're just going to get into a lesson kind of going into more of the witchcraft of America, Babylon the Great, and, you know, how we spoke of, you know, in a recent video, you know, speaking of how, you know, they use different, you know, things such as numerology to basically commit sacrifices, make historic dates for their kingdom. And we're going to go into some of them and give you some examples of some of those. And some people that they, I've mentioned Michael Jordan, but there's other, uh, uh, a couple other ones that I'm going to bring up just as a, all right, yeah, camera froze, Slakia. But as I was saying, it's, a little side thing to this. And, I got some other examples to show you that, a lot of that stuff is hidden in plain sight. So first we're going to start with this, start with this real quick. This guy, Nikola Tesla, this is somebody that they kind of took some of his sessions and, they've used it, for their sorcery. And there's a particular, there's a couple things that we're going to bring up concerning like how they do it in society to give you understanding how Esau, even so-called white man, uses numerology basically to create a pattern. He's trying to be like the Most High. So this is first we'll start right here. This is Isaiah chapter 29, verse 15. And we're gonna show you, a couple things, how they hide things. So you gotta be careful with what you idolize, especially celebrities, because they show you that they are, tapping into some left-hand power wickedness. So we're going to start right here, Isaiah chapter 29, verse 15. And it reads, "Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord." Right? So there's particular things that Esau, even the so-called white man, does to basically hide how he sets up his counsel, because it talks about, before you make war, you have to have counsel. So they have to talk about how they're going to basically deceive the world, because that was what they did when they came out of the caves. Okay. When it talks about in Revelation 20, Satan coming out of the bottomless pit, that's talking about Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, coming out of the caves. The bottomless pit is talking about the caves. Okay. And that's why you get, the word Caucasian. It means cave dweller. Okay. So, they came out to deceive the earth. So they had to have counsel how they was going to do that. And they had to make a pattern, to make sure that everybody was on point with the plan. So it says, "And their works are in the dark, and they say, who seeth us and who knoweth us?" Right? They don't think anybody on the planet knows how they get down, how they do stuff, how they do their sacrifices to their false gods. Verse 16, "Surely the turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay," right? "For shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not," right? Basically, there's no free will. So the Lord has made Esau like this, and he's made us like this too, to expose him. Or the thing that framed, or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding, right? And that's how Esau is. Esau has his, the Lord has, basically put himself in a pride. The Lord put Esau in a proud mind state to think he can do things without being detected. Okay, and for a time period, he did do certain things, but it wasn't like he got away with it. We're putting that stuff out here now. So this is Daniel chapter 2, verse 20. Daniel answered and said, "Blessed is the name of our power forever and ever. For wisdom and might are his. Verse 21. And he changeth the times and the seasons. He removeth kings and setteth up kings. That's what we're in a position right now. These kings are being removed, but first they have to be exposed why they're going to be removed. So we're going in depth on that. He giveth wisdom unto the wise and knowledge to them that know understanding. Ultimately the prophets, elders and apostles, a great millstone on down. Verse 22, he revealed the deep and the deep and secret things. He knoweth what is in the darkness, and the light that dwelleth with him. Okay, so we're going to go in some of those dark things that have been accumulating in the earth. And we're going to go into, because there's a quote that some people claim Nikola Tesla said, and some people claim that he didn't. It doesn't show that, it doesn't say it has any records of him saying it, but we're going to give some examples on how, he understood the occult, he understood numerology, and he was obsessed with it. Okay. So this is like a real accounts of people who knew who this guy was. And of course, he was the one who tried to create free electricity, for the world. And, he failed because the elites didn't want that. So this is what it says on Chat GPT. It says, here's the real list of what Nikola Tesla did in threes. The parts that are actually documented, not internet mythology, right? So it's saying this stuff is actually documented. And just because something ain't documented don't mean it ain't true. Okay? You have to have eyesight. You have to see spiritually. Just because in the Bible it don't literally say America don't mean that America ain't in there. It's definitely in there. What's the point? How could there be Bibles all over America and they talking about some God bless America, but America ain't nowhere to be found in the Bible? That don't make no sense. It's Babylon the Great. So these mostly come from Tesla's own writings, his biographer, John J. O'Neill, his friend George Sylvester Venerick. Right. So one, he had compulsive rituals with the number 3. That's how these Masons do. That's how a lot of these Edomites do. They do rituals. Okay. Tesla most certainly had what today would be called OCD. Right. He felt intense discomfort if things were not done in multiples of 3s. He would walk around a building 3 times before entering, circle a table 3 times before sitting, perform actions 3 times before feeling like right. Okay. They claim, it was anxiety control, but everything that we do on the planet is tied spiritually with the heavens, and either you got a wicked spirit on you or you got a righteous spirit on you. He chose hotel rooms divisible by 3. He'd use exactly 18 napkins when eating. He avoided objects, he avoided round objects, so, he would count his steps, bites, and movements. He did, and that's how crazy everybody thought he was, So, those are some things to go into. But I want to go into another account of, some of these celebrities and the dates on some of the most prominent sports figures. So I usually go, the only one I went into is Michael Jordan, but when you go into football, it's in football as well. I did a video on Michael Jordan showing his whole records is in 3s. Well, when you go over here, when you look at this guy right here, Tom Brady, that's why they had this big whole thing that roasting Tom Brady on Netflix. You know how that came out? Because there was something significant about this guy. They used this guy, basically to create some type of rigged history. Okay. So basically it says, his first Super Bowl he won by 3, the second one he won by 3, the third one, All this stuff. 99th year of the NFL, tied 3 after 3 after the third quarter, won 6-3 record, all this kind of stuff. Then he said the youngest coach and the oldest coach basically in the same Super Bowl, he went through 9 Super Bowls. All this is divisible by 3, So then you got this guy right here, 99th year of the NFL. This dude, 66. Right over here is 33. There's the all seeing eye. You know how they do all that symbolism, right? This is stuff that they do. Showing some evidence of Michael Jordan, the trophy number 6. This is just showing you that a lot of this stuff gets tied in together. Then you jump over here. This is why they call LeBron James. I'm just talking about high figures that Jake is captivated by. They use these guys to get Jake to basically worship the beast system. Okay. See how they got the 3 and the 6, to basically keep you captivated in this system. See, he was his 18th year, it was his 9th Super Bowl. His 15th year, he was 9th NBA Finals. 15, that's 6. When you do the numerology, you add the 1 and the 5, that's 9. All that's 3, 6, and 9. The whole thing. Okay. See what I'm saying? All these prominent basketball players and stuff is rigged, man. That's what we're telling you. And now it's finally being put out there. Now we're going to jump over here, show you a couple more of them. Okay. Kobe Bryant, right? See, 3-peat. All this, June 12th, 6/12, right? Just how they do this stuff, man. High scoring game, right? 81 points. What was Michael Jordan? 69. Game of career, 666 points. Percentage of team points, 66%. You know what I'm saying? Field goal percentage, just talking about all time. That's why we're telling you. A lot of these sports is rigged to get you to worship this system. You know what I'm saying? So, I want to point out a couple of those things. And then we're going to show you a bunch of celebrities that basically died on the same day because they have their days where they sacrifice prominent celebrities. Basically, I'm going to break it down to you, but let me pull up another preset real quick. We're almost done. Jeremiah 49:10. But we're going to also go into a video that was about 10 years ago, and people have talked about it. But I want to pull up a couple clips that, I want to point out. And, also this is for educational purposes only. This is not for monetary gain. So whatever videos we show is just for educational purposes only. It's Jeremiah chapter 49, verse 10. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. Right? So that's how he hid himself. He would do certain things to get you to be captivated in his system. But now it's starting to be realized that all of it is, basically a scam to eventually get you to take the MOTB, right? The mark of the beast, the RFDI chip you put in your right hand on your forehead. That's what all this stuff is set up to do. It's to lead you to that road to want to take that. Okay. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, which is basically the other nations, they've sided with Esau, along with the majority of our people. And he is not, which means he's going to be put to death. He's going to get destroyed in the end. So when you jump over here, we're going to go into a little bit of key things that show you that a lot of these guys, man, they know what they're doing when they get in the industry, man. That's why the Lord, blessed us not to have to deal with being famous and celebrities, because you had particular jakes and elders and apostles and brothers that they wanted to be in the industry. They wanted to be in some type of in a sense of fame, and the Lord took us out of that. But there's this video that I watched way before I came into truth, and I just want to point out a couple things in this video to go in and show you that a lot of their stuff that they do when their sacrifices, they're always around particular dates, and one of them is the 25th. So you got Christmas on the 25th. You got all this different type of stuff, but we're gonna break it down to you and show you this is why they do it. It's the same thing that the Chaldeans would do, but we just giving you live examples of how they've done it in society. Okay, through entertainment. So we're just gonna start right here, point out a couple things.
They gotta be quiet about it. I mean, my rights violated, but I gotta be quiet about it. Let's go. Now, let's go. Okay, sure.
This ain't the part we watched. Hold on, it's about to pop up. All right, so basically, this is how they do it. So it says before the higher ups, which is talking about Amalekites, the first descendants of Esau, right? Rothschilds, big banking companies. So before the higher ups can murder a celebrity, they got to destroy their image first, much like what happened to Tupac, Michael Jackson, other people, right? With the use of one of their tools, right? The press, right? They convinced the general public to believe, the fake destroyed image of a celebrity. Then they easily set up a scenario, basically to put him to death, and pass it off as an accident or suicide because of the humiliation. Okay. So we're gonna prove to you that that's what they were doing. Okay. And all these, we're gonna show you why they were doing it.
Seguir al vencedor, listen to the call. The salt in every religion is dull. Lawlessness has entered every hole. That's why they're gonna fall in a hole. Following a fallen angel on the run. Hold revolving around the sun instead of.
We don't need damn music. So, screen going out. All right, right? Michael Jackson died June 25th. You got Tupac, died at 25. A lot of these numbers go around the same. James Brown died on December 25th. Right? Different dates, but the same day. Right? Different months, same day. Aaliyah, 25th. Right? I'm going to show you something real quick and show you why I be doing that. Many popular music artists have died on the 25th day of the month. Let's take a look at a few of them. Then we're going to name a whole bunch more of them to show you that this ain't just some coincidence. See, you got Michael Jackson, Farrah Fawcett, and Sky Saxon. All of them died on the same day. Okay, June 25th. Okay. Right, James Brown, got Dean Martin, right, all them December 25th, Left Eye, 25th, all these different people, man, all died on the 25th, Static Major, all down the line, So basically, this is how they do their sacrifices. So we're gonna go over here and show you basically why they do that. Okay. So we're gonna go down a more solid list. It isn't every celebrity, but it's notable ones. And usually when it's like a very high celebrity profile, they'll do it in threes. And if I can get to the part about it, I'll get to it in a second. So celebrities, famous figures who died on 25th. You got Virginia Woolf, Dorothy Thompson, Al Capone, Louis Chevrolet. All them died on January 25th. You got Tennessee Williams, George Harrison's mother, Louise Harrison. On the 25th of February, you got Buck Owens, Cal Ripken Sr., I think. March 25th, some of these you might not know. Some of them I don't know. April 25th, Ella Fitzgerald, Jonathan Brandeis. Then you got May 25th, George Floyd, right? Not a celebrity board debt, but globally known after. You remember how he got sacrificed? He got killed. See, it's on the 25th. Why do you think they doing that? Robert Ludlum. And then you got Michael Jackson, Farrah Fawcett, Jackie Gleason, Rod Sterling. Right? They ain't even named the other one. Vincent Van Gogh, John F. Kennedy Jr. See? He died on the 25th, July 25th. See? All these super famous people just dying on the same day. Why are they doing that? Right? Aaliyah, 2001, John Bell, August. You got Billy Burt, Johnny Cash, Bassett, Marshall Grant, they both died on 25th of September. Matthew Shepard, see, every month got some high celebrities dying on this day. George Michael, Prince Alice of Battenberg, and this is throughout even back then in the mid 1940s. Charlie Chaplin, James Brown, Joan Rivers, right? So why the 25th stands out? The 25th appears over and over celebrity deaths, especially what? June, August, November, and December, right? These dates show up in music legends, film icons, cultural figures, political bloodlines. See? Which is why many people notice patterns around them. Then you go into the numerology of it, basically, 25, when you do numerology, it means 7. So, in the Bible, it means completion, and we know the Bible is the true, doctrine. But, all these other, false doctrines, they also have their meanings too. And we're going to show you what some of them think it is. So you got the Bible, completion, divine judgment, right? The Most High's timeline, right? There's divine judgment. So all these other ones, they've kind of like watered down that and tried to, blend in their own, what they think it is. You know what I mean? So you got the Kabbalah. They say the gateway between physical and spiritual worlds. Islam says it's 7 heavens, right? We know all that's going on. Hinduism says 7 chakras. So that's why you be having people talk about them chakras and stuff. They believe in Hinduism, basically. That's why we don't do all that chakra shit when we have the gems on. We don't do none of that. We just wear them. And gems, they do have healing properties, but we ain't talking about no damn chakras and shit. Science, 7 colors of light, 7 notes in music. See, everything follows around this, right? Tarot card readers, right? These are all different witchcraft and sorceries. What they believe in it, right? The chariot, crossing realms, victory through death. See, all this other stuff, they be trying to do it just like the Bible, but the Bible is the correct one. Okay. Divine judgment. Okay. Basically, completion. So what they use it for is 2 + 5 is basically duality and change. Okay. And that's how they do stuff. Duality is like left corner versus blue corner, blue corner versus red corner. And yeah, the government is the Most High, because he said in what was it? Yeah, he says, You know, basically everything that's moving around is controlled by the Most High. Yeah, it's First Peter. You know, going into First Peter, like the second chapter, it goes into that. Once you jump in there, it talks about bearing the ordinances because he set them up. Because it said, Isaiah 45:7, the Lord create lightness and darkness, good and evil. The Lord do all these things, you know. Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. You know, and for y'all that, you know, maybe don't know, that's maybe coming up on the comment board, you know, Yahawah is the name of the Heavenly Father, and Yahawashi is the Son. You know, those are their Hebrew names. Those are their actual names. God is saying God is just a title, you know. But anyways, the two means duality, life and death, body and spirit, light and dark, right? The balance between them. Then 5 is the change, chaos, transformation, right? So that's what they believe this stuff is, right? Basically 25 to them means the day of transformation between worlds, okay? That's why they do a lot of stuff on that day, okay? A lot of sacrifices on that day. So many celebrities die on 25th. Most famous people represent archetypes in the collective human mind, right? So when we go over here, okay, going to look up this word archetype, okay? It basically marks the passing of a symbolic figure, okay? That's what they're doing with it, okay? And if it's a real big figure like Michael Jordan was, they'll sacrifice 2 more on that day, okay? This is what they do. They sacrifice people to their gods.
Archetype.
Archetype, a very typical example of a certain person or thing, right? The original that has been imitated. See? So they'll imitate these same sacrifices that they were doing in the ancient times. That's why we tell you these are the same spirits that's back. They're doing the same stuff. So in esoteric belief systems, that's called an archetypal exit. The soul leaves on the day that carries spiritual transition coding, right? They use it as a veil. See, many spiritual traditions say the 25th day is when the veil between the worlds is thinner. That's why Christmas, pagan rebirth festivals, solar return rituals all sit or around the 25th. It's the rebirth gate. So deaths on the 25th are seen as leaving through the rebirth door. Okay, that's what they're doing with it. So when we go back over here, we're just gonna show a few more things right here and then hit another precept. But we're gonna point out some stuff when it comes to you know, because we've done videos on 9/11, but we're gonna show you that it's definitely, you know, numerical how they did it. So we're gonna show you. Let it pull up for a second. It says you can argue that these dates are coincidental using the fact that many other celebrities have not passed away on this date, of course, but they weren't as high as figures as those. Usually higher figures, you know, ones that Jake really idolized. Let it keep playing. It says that is true. However, if you understand the significance of numerology, and it's important, they call them the Illuminati, but Illuminati just means the enlightened ones, the light bearers, and then you got a left-hand side of the Lord that's illuminated with wickedness, and you have a right-hand side of the Lord that's illuminated with righteousness. We have an illumination of righteousness. That's how we're able to tell you what they're doing on the left-hand side. You know, then, you know, basically it says you find out something sinister is going on. Many of their acts, such as false flag attacks and rituals, are done on certain dates and at certain times using numerology. Okay, that's what they do. It's talking about these small hats. Said to prove this, we're going to use one of the most cataclysmic events in history as an example. Do you remember the attacks, right, on the World Trade Center, right? We know what day it was, September 11th, 2001, right? I ain't going to show that on here because they might take the video down on my other channel. You know how they be sensitive on there. All right. So in numerology, you can only add up each single digit. For example, the number 34,095. It would be added like this: 3 plus 4 plus 0 plus 9 plus 5. Right? Because now when you see this, you can start watching the news and you're gonna see certain particular situations. You're gonna be like, damn, all the numbers line up on that. Then you're gonna know it's them doing a ritual. So you're gonna see the number 11 a whole lot. And 11, it's like a power number. Okay. So you got 11, 22, 33. And 33 is the highest level of masonry. Okay. So right, that date is September 11, 911, right? 11 and 911 basically means orchestrated chaos. That's what it is. It's orchestrated. That's why when you call 911, be like, oh, there was a shooting, or it means that it was orchestrated. Somebody orchestrated that chaos. That's what it means. So then it says September 11th is the 254th day of the year. 2 plus 5 is 4 is 11, right? They know what they're doing, man. After September 11th, there are 111 days left at the end of the year. See, that's that 3. They be matching all this stuff up. The building had 10 stories, right? 110 stories, right? The third building, 7 had to fall 47 stories, right? That's 11. That's what we're telling you. It's sorcery what they're doing, to sacrifice to their gods. The number of windows from both skyscrapers, 21,811. That's why they be doing this shit. Okay. And then the one that hit the tower was what? Flight 11. But watch this. Watch what Michael Jackson.
Your God is done. The discussion of the lawyer won. The accusers run the.
Okay. Yep. Had 11 crew members on board. Blah 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 blah. First tower hit. North tower collapsed at 10:28 a.m. That's 11. I really want to just get to this part. It's almost done. That's about it. Right? They said it took 11 years to build a building. Oh, and this is another good one right here. Manhattan Island was discovered on September 11th, 1609 by Henry Hudson. He said Henry Hudson had 11 numbers, but whatever. That ain't no big deal. But the fact that Manhattan Island was founded on September 11th definitely lets you see that this is how they do their sacrifices. They plan that shit way ahead of time. We definitely know it ain't no coincidence. But they always do their stuff in 3s. Okay, just like you seen Nikola Tesla, he was obsessed with that number. Well, so is a lot of these other Edomites. They obsessed with that number, man. Because it matches up with all their, how they like sacrifice and stuff. Just like the Chaldeans did. Right? The number 11 has special significance. The number 11 in numerology is not reduced to a single digit. It's a power number. See? That's 22, 33, etc. That's why when you go, look at the, you get the 111, 222, 333, 444. They all add up to 3, 6, and 9. Every single one of them. Okay, that's why they be doing them spiritual power numbers or whatever. You know how they be having the angel numbers? All of them add up to in 3s. Hold up. Let me go to the chat real quick and ask you something real quick. Let me see. Let me ask you right here. Let me ask you something real quick. Hold on. Come on. All right. And it's basically like the Fibonacci numbers, man. That's why they was, you know, Esau was all, you know, fascinated by this, because it was basically they were seeing that everything was set up by the Lord, man. They knew the Lord existed because everything lined up, you know, for reality to exist. Let me see. Yeah, see? So when you're looking at it, this is why they be doing everything in threes, and they be talking about them angel numbers. Because you do the 111, that's 3, 222 is 6, 333, 9, 444 is 12, 3, 555, 15. See? The cycle is 369, 369. Okay. This is how base 10 arithmetic works in multiples of threes. Everything adds into itself. You know what I'm saying? You know? Everything adds up, so everything comes together in the physical world, you know, from the spirit world, because it has to form, it has to be basically authorized in the spirit world before it comes down here. Okay. And it's got to have a balance. So watch, we're gonna pull this up and watch what she say about Michael Jackson dying and then two other famous people dying on the same day.
Through his intentions, and his matter has dimensions. Space was among his inventions. Through the contraction of his life, it was like the contraction of the diaphragm when I speak on the mic.
With my business partner, and he had just told me about Farah, and I said, oh my, geez, I wonder who's next, because it always happens in threes.
See what she said?
Really in the middle of nowhere, and out of time, and develop how the mind emanating to.
And that's why you got like you know, when you do the 7, right? That's why when you go to the casino, they got the 777 jackpot, because basically like they're saying like you could, you know, basically you know, change your reality going there. Basically, you hit the jackpot, your life is going to change. You're going to cross over into, you know, a different realm. Basically, that's what they're saying, but physically. Okay, they're trying to be like the Most High.
The spirit and to the word created everything living, coming from the thought, giving form to the entire building, even every single thing you're feeling, and came down from the ceiling, acting in order to open this prison. For this reason, I can go walking by faith and not by what I'm seeing. This world is deceiving, justice is uneven. The massive lies are believing, and even seeing Eva's the same as being in Stephen. That's why I'm living. But before I go, I have a lot to say to lead you to the one and only way.
He also said the London bombings. He said it was on the 7th day of the 7th month in 2005. See, that's 25. You know, 7. There was 7 explosions total on that day. That's documented. You can go look it up, you know, for you to be sure yourself.
First and last, the enemy's coming back. First and last, first and last, the enemy's coming back.
What you got? Yeah, whatever.
Then became Elohim, like a man marrying to conceive by giving his seed. Being Yahweh, he who goes to exist. Our Father now, the only one that's always around, omnipresent, who gave his life as a present to live in the present, preserving us to the present he sent to send you to enter eternity while you prepare for the advent. Get a new body, get rid of this thing you rent, making Adam and Eve one again, like they were in the beginning, becoming one with our brethren.
You must remember, Michael told me repeatedly that they were going to kill him, that he was going to die.
And who did it?
Let me back it up. This is where she said it. Yeah, right there.
Father called me. I was at.
When you heard the sad news?
My father called me. I was at home, and I had just hung up the phone with my business partner, and he had just told me about Farah, and I said, oh my, geez, I wonder who's next because it always happens in threes.
Right? Their sacrifices. That's a lot of ways how they do it. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of ways how they do it, man. That's the main way how they do it. So going back, you know, to let me pull up a precept real quick. And that's why Michael Jackson and them two other famous celebrities died all on the same day, on that day, because they that's how they sacrifice to their gods, man. That's all we tell you. Don't be celebrating, you know, Christmas on December 25th. They make a lot of sacrifices on specific days, man. Ecclesiastes chapter 3. It's lucky. Something going on. Yeah, 3 verse 11. I ain't gonna let me do it like that. I gotta type in the whole thing. It's lucky. Okay. And it reads, he have made everything beautiful in his time. So he have set the world in their heart, right? Which is talking about, you know, your mind, so that no man can find out the work that the Most High maketh from the beginning to the end. But he does give us, you know, certain things that, you know, that he does reveal to us. And one of them is how Esau does certain things, man. You know, in the digital root cycle, right? That 369, all that, you know, that's why they're basing everything in the middle of that, them 3 6s. That's that digital barcode system. It's got to all match. The whole system has to be intact. And they can't do that unless it's all in 3s. It has to all be, you know, go to a different point and be all so they can trace everything, man. That's why they're obsessed with it, because it's the only way that everything can add up numerically equally. Okay. So, you know, here's something else they said, you know, and like it said, like it said in Ecclesiastes, it says, you know, he made everything beautiful. It is beautiful. You know, it's wicked, but it's beautiful that it was set up just like he said it was in the scriptures. It's beautiful that we know that we're right about this system being wicked and what they're finna do. You know, he made sure that, you know, even without even having to add anything up, you know, spiritually we can see it. But, you know, a moth is how you really say truth, you know, so that's what it is. Math is truth, a moth, you know, it's got to add up. So we do this just, you know, just for edification. So here's, it says, you know, 25 in time cycles. It says the human brain finishes the development around 25. The sun's magnetic cycle flips roughly every 25 years, you know. You know, the Mayan calendar basically runs on a 25 cycle pattern, you know, basically. And it says, yeah, we ain't worried about that. We already pretty much read all that we need. So going over here, I want to show this a couple clips, because this song, right? But I wanted to point it out again. But it's a song Justin Bieber made called "Where Are You Now" or something, and it had like, I don't know how many views, 1.3 billion views, right? And it shows all these people going in here and painting these pictures, and he's like dancing in all the pictures that these people drew, right? It's just like showing all this shit behind it. There's people done painted real fast and shit, right? So we're gonna show you some of them, you know, because your subliminal mind picks up what this stuff is saying. But when you go to you know how it has that U on it, like you see that little U right there. Here, let me point it out. That thing where it says Jack U down there. Move my head a little bit. That, when you type that on the keyboard, how to type it, gonna show you this shit is wicked right here. They be doing rituals with this music. That's why you gotta be careful what you listen to. It can put you in like a demonic trance, damn near. So when you hold Alt, right? This is what happens when you click 666. See, that smiley face pops up. You can go try it. You can get on your keyboard, and maybe it might not work on specific computers, but on the Windows computers, if you type in Alt 666, you hold Alt the whole time and let it go, it does that smiley face. So that's how you know it's a demonic video, and it attracted a lot of people. And really, the dude who he did it with, the dude Skrillex or whatever, supposedly he dead, but he has sixes all over his music too. He had 666 shirts he was selling. So that's how you know this stuff is really actually wicked, man. Like, they really be doing some wicked shit. So I want to go. Hold on. Yep, my stuff went out. All right, I want to show some of these pictures. Let me see if I can find it. Some of these pictures in that thing, and show you that it was in there. Yeah, screenshots. Okay, so these were some of them. And it's going to show you that the small hats was involved with this. That's the main thing I want to do, is show that the small hats is involved with this. So one of them, he had, it looked like a demon was controlling them. See, it's like a spirit in them. You see what I'm saying? This the kind of stuff that they subliminally flashing in your head on a lot of this stuff that you watch. And if you ain't spiritually the wiles of the devil, man, if you ain't spiritually intact, man, this stuff can control you, man. Okay? It's more powerful than what people think it is. That's why they spend billions of dollars to do this stuff, man. Okay? So you're going to go over. Let me see if I can go over to the next clip. Probably ain't going to let me do it. Let me just go click on it. This is another one. It just says help on it, because he trapped or whatever. Here's another one that was in there, though. See? They be putting shit in these videos. See? What it say? Bush did 9/11. See? They putting this shit in them videos 10 years later. This is what they be putting this stuff. Then you got, that's why you can't be, a lot of this music, you don't want to idolize it, because it's witchcraft. Here's another one, it's got the all-seeing eye pyramid in it. Of course they was going to have that in there. But everybody knows that. But I'm going to show you one that, there's another one. Show this one. See, it's got the small hat back there. Really, basically, it's supposed to represent the small hat, the Amalekite, so-called, Rawcha's big banking company is see on the checkerboard floor. And then it's got those little U's down there. It's just a whole bunch of 666s down there. See? This is stuff that Esau be doing, man. And he's getting exposed. Here's another one, another clip. See? False God with a cross upside down on his head. This is what we're trying to say, man. Like, this is what Jake be idolizing this shit, man. A lot of our people be idolizing this music, and this is really what they are. They're like false gods. People be worshiping these celebrities and stuff. They're false gods, man. Then here's another one. See? It's got the Israel flag, and there's a couple more of them that was like that too. But you're gonna show you this one first. Look at this one. Look at this one. It says Jesus saves. But we know Jesus don't save, and they know he don't either. That's why they got 666, horn, tail, and the pitchfork coming out of them. See? But a lot of people, Justin Bieber, that was they basically they Messiah to them. A lot of people worship this guy. Okay? A lot of people in America worship this guy. I thought he was just the main event. You know? So I would tell you, man. Then here's another one. Here's this one. There's another star, Israelite star, or whatever. You got the eye right there. You know, this is stuff that they was flashing all through their shit, man. Oh, that one was not one. I'm almost done. Then we're gonna do one more precept, then we're gonna get out of here. But I just want to just show some of the stuff that they be doing. See, there's another one right in the middle of them, and then it shows these two people. Like, I don't know who the fuck they is. They probably somebody, you know, prominent. And I think this is the last one. Yeah, see, there's this one. It's like, and what does the scriptures talk about? A wolf in sheep's clothing. And that's Esau Edom, the so-called white man. They got a little Edomite right here. You know, maybe Justin Bieber might be a Jake, but he's basically posing as an Edomite. You know, he's a wolf in sheep's clothing. That's Esau, man. That's how these people are, man. They spend billions of dollars to make sure Jake is captivated by this shit, man. And then he sacrifices, you know, these people on particular days to basically, you know, because they believe in this shit, man. They really believe in them gods. It's Matthew chapter 7, verse 12. Just a little something for you to, you know, consider. Like, be careful what you watching, Jake. You know, be careful what you idolize. Be careful, you know, because a lot of this stuff is connected, you know, to their witchcraft. Okay, keep your mind off the truth. Just remember, ye would do that man should do to you, do ye even so to them, for this is the law and the prophets. And what did they do? They basically, you know, took our heritage. They, you know, a lot of our people were enslaved. So this is what's got to happen to them, man. This is the law and the prophet. This is why we tell you they got to go into slavery. This is why we tell you they got to get exposed. You know, because they had us out here exposed. They took our Bible, they took our heritage, and everything had us out here where we didn't have no covering, man. We was exposed. And they was like, man, the Lord ain't dealing with Israel. But now that's why we're doing it to them. And anything that we can pull up, we definitely will. You know. But when you go back to this video, you know, for y'all who people, you know, Jakes, who want to know a little bit more about how they do things in their music, because a lot of this, you know, this video has a lot of different other examples. It's a pretty good video, you know. But you know, it's just something for you if you're someone who, you know, wants to just learn more of the wickedness that Esau does in this stuff. Give you a little bit more just secrets of this place, man. You know, there it is. So when you start, you know, and it's really just to show you that when you start, you know, seeing certain events happen and stuff, you know, kind of pay attention to some of them numbers, because then you can know for sure right off the bat, like, yeah, that was a setup, you know. So just be on the lookout for that, and be careful around those days, Jake. You know, you pray to the Lord every day, of course, but be careful around particular days. You know what you're doing out here, because they are trying to get Jake, man. So, you know, that was it. Lord willing, that found to the flock. Shalom to Elect Israel, hope Elect Israel, Hebrew Israelites, so-called Negro, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, Haitians, foreign Israelites, elected nations, scarecrows, four corners of the earth. I want to give our praise to Barak, that was shy. Double honor to us and apostles of great millstone. Let's all to this truth. Peace and blessings to the elect. Lord, when was edifying to the flock. Wa abba, Kwam Yasharala. Shalom.